So, hello everybody. Welcome from Netherlands, those which are listening all the way overseas from Canada and Boston. For those which are joining this session about how to create a brighter but also sustainable future for PhD students worldwide, because I found this very important here also as a coach for PhD students and postdocs. I think that's really great time to be here and to discover different types of solutions, but also different types of angles looking at potential path, I would say, for each PhD student or each postdoc. And I'm focusing here also particularly because I did PhD in life sciences on the life science sector. And I think these sessions are also what I already something which is very much missing from PhD programs, but also time where we can talk about alternative career paths, right? Where after graduating, after receiving a PhD, having this great transferable skills, including project management, writing skills, and other type of skills, also communication skills, which I'm going to talk about too during today's session, becomes extremely viable for any type of job you're going to decide, even you would choose this alternative path, meaning moving from academia to industry. And short maybe introduction for those who are joining me for the first time. I'm usually running this, I call it quality time sessions about how to create brighter future once a month. There are two reasons for that. First reason is that after PhD, I want to become a coach. I want to develop team building workshops where I know how, as a coach, how to build high performance and here also came Agile. You will learn more about that if you go to the vlogs, so videos which I talk about agility, why Agile matters to me, and what does it really mean in practice. So you will learn more about that if you want to know more. So this Agile team building workshops are a very important part of it. And then, of course, this also brings a lot of, in terms of time management percentage, but also developing collaborative programs, implementing Agile team building workshops for future scientists, entrepreneurs. So very different coaching programs. That is also quality of a good coach when this coach is able also not only to develop collaborative coaching program with other coaches, but also with other entrepreneurs. Not necessarily coaches yet, or coaches, but business entrepreneurs, serial entrepreneurs, international entrepreneurs. So of course, coaching, the third pillar, I very quickly realized that, building this, of course, and developing this Agile workshop is very important, but from time of perspective, where you have a team and you have participants which represent PhDs and not PhDs and all people, business developers or other professionals, it's very difficult to give really in terms of especially PhD students and postdocs which participate already in my team building workshops quality time. And then I realized that actually the third deepest purpose for me is to empower individual PhDs and PhD students, especially in life sciences, making successful transition from academia to industry. And of course, somebody would say, well, I have transferable skills, I'm PhD, but that's not enough. Actually, very quickly, you can realize that PhD diploma is not enough. Especially for the industry sector. So-called hard skills, which are aligned with that, right? You do PhD in specialized type of field in genetics, in epigenetics, in regimen biology, in cancer biology, in immunology. So, of course, you have hard skills, but for the company, I already have my startup here 7 years. As an insider, there are things I can share, some things I cannot share. But as an insider, I can tell you that companies very much value actually who you are, so your personal skills or personal values. And identifying them, it's not necessarily very easy, especially when you are PhD students and postdoc, and you are based your sometimes your self-reflection based on of course what other people tell about you, but not always this other people or you have been coached before, for example, mentally, or you have been having other coaches like sport coaches might be already correct me, and I will put my email info so you can directly email me or contact me via LinkedIn. That's also possible. So I wanted to give this short introduction to you guys, especially the new ones which are joining all over the world across, because that's what I found beautiful, that we can really become here by subscribing to this channel, also very big online community for PhD students and postdocs, and we can empower this channel, but also by empowering this channel, also creating different future and also sustainable future. So first of all, today I'd like to talk first about some event which I recently participated. This event is representing one of I think the most successful career events regarding life sciences. This is the BCF career event, which was founded actually or organized by the company Hyphen Projects. Hope it's visible. And the founder of this company is Hyphen. It's an Asian founder, but that's what I found the most beautiful. It's a woman which decided actually after. Actually, her story was starting from first site activities when she was biotechnology student. She started to organize then a University Broad Career Week for all students at Wageningen University in Netherlands. And then after graduation, she found that it was really difficult for her, but also for other students, to explore career options in life sciences industry. And after her first job actually in BioPartner, so in Leiden here, Bioscience Park, it's all started from Leiden Bioscience Park, which is really beautiful, in early 2000. She decided to start her own company, Hyphen Projects. And this started in 2004. So as you can think, it's 20 years already. That's why this particular job career event was really important, I think, milestone also for Hyphen and her team to realize how important impact she brings and how much impact she makes in finding all job seekers related to PhDs and PhD students, finding the job, the well-matched job by organizing these events, and also importantly, also inviting many different industry leaders. And in a moment, I will talk about that because that's related both to industry, which I am in life sciences, related to cell therapy also, so stem cells, so regenerative medicine, tissue engineering field, but also in perspective of generally building your career as a scientist, as a PhD, a person with PhD degree in industry. So important was that, of course, the BCF career event became the biggest career event in life sciences in Netherlands. And originally, this shortcut was related to biochemistry and food, which encompasses very beautifully the biotech, right, format, or nature or type of fields in terms of biotechnology. But nowadays, it's been also brought other potential abbreviation for this event, which is Biotech Careers Forward, which I think it's quite futuristic because it brings this forward thinking, forward future element. So that is something about introduction about this event, and there have been very nice actually introduction done in biotech news life sciences, which was also great to have actually this type of summary regarding this event, and be able also to take a look at different interviews which also have been placed here. So CLS services and Checkmark, that's two job agencies, job recruiting agencies, helping all over for all these 20 years, accompanying and participating actively in BCF event. And what I particularly wanted to bring here, that first of all, when we realize a little bit something which maybe is not obvious and came from interview given by CLS services, is that when you are a PhD student or postdoc and you want to move to industry, first of all, a lot of people may think, well, it's very easy, right? My professors know somebody there, and via somebody will arrange job for me, right? I think this is easy way of thinking, because it is something which I can also tell you as a coach. Of course, for me as a coach, it's important to facilitate this transition and find well-matched job. But it's not my role to so-called arrange a job for you. My role is to identify your unique sets of skills, perform one-to-one coaching and training in CV, outstanding for industry, motivation letters, pitching, right, for potential job while you networking skills, then also questions preparation for, so prep for interview. So this is all part of toolbox, right? So that you are very well equipped by applying for the job, and once you are invited, having also performing a really well interview, so having really being prepared for each interview. So that's really important mission, but it's not a part of coaching or also type of thinking which you might have as a PhD student postdoc, that somebody is going to arrange this for you. No, I think each of us knowing that, having this toolbox, being coached. So if you're afraid of doing it yourself and you don't know how, of course, these coachings are important, but also it's important to say to think that getting well-matched job will be a difficult process, which will be a process which will require your motivation, your presence, being proactive, and knowing how to pitch, knowing how to write well letters, how to basically, what we call actually industry, how to effectively communicate. Yes, so communication is a key. And there have been a lot of articles written about communication. And I was actually thinking about even writing such article myself, how important is communication, not only in terms of my company activities, collaborative projects, but also in terms of finding well-matched job and applying, communicating at interview. These are all different types of forms of communication, which which are very important. So this transition, coming back to it, what some PhD students found as a struggling process to make this shift from academia to corporate world. And if there can be different cases, as I said, if you don't know how to start, you don't know how to network. This is also not everybody is a natural networker. Sometimes the skills which you have to slowly develop and acquire. And this is also something which I, as a very extroverted person, have very natural. Actually, I was quite, I think I could say, born as a natural networker. Talking actually since 3 years old to people I met, including sometimes animals on my path. But indeed, being extroverted helps very much, but also there is a lot of introverted people and they have great unique skills. And you need to realize that also as a coach, I need to very quickly realize that it's very different type of coaching with introverts and very different type of coaching with extroverts. And there are also, postdocs, what I also realized by talking also at PhD BCF event this year, which, they don't even know if their CV is good. So there are the CV checks. They have a lot of self-doubt. Their self-esteem is very low. Usually when sometimes they start sending applications and they see that there are so many rejections, so there's no pain point, which I call rejection, they start to lose confidence, right? Self-esteem. And that's something which is important to have here a coach in this process, being present. Staying positive is very important, but not everybody can motivate himself to stay positive if there are so many no's arriving on its way. So there are also postdocs who were not really uncertain about their prospects in industry, if their skills are aligned perfectly with the company. And here I'd like to a little bit comment also regarding this interview, also in my coaching experience, that whenever I talk to my coaches, and this I can share because of course I'm obliged also to keep things confident regarding my coaching scheme, but also coaching steps and experiences. But I always communicate to my coaches that if there is already 90% overlap or even sometimes 60% overlap, it really depends on the type of skills companies place as a required in the job post. This can be already a good position to apply for, because you also need to have some space where you have to realize that you want to learn something new on the job. And of course, if everything is ticked off, well, is there a space for development? Well, or learning space? I don't know if that's really the perfect job. And the other thing is that even there are jobs which are sometimes also for 6 months or less, 4 months. But they, for example, I also think about people which would like to develop their career as a scientific writers, or marketing, scientific marketing. So also involving in writing abilities. They have to realize that these jobs also can be even they are entry and temporary, not necessarily giving you right away permanent position while you move actually from academia to industry. And I talked about this before. They bring you closer to your next job, right? Because first job, maybe it's temporary at the company X, for example, but after a good performance evaluation, you might actually be offered permanent job. So you are never, so that's the conclusion, you are never really able to predict what will happen after, because this all depends also on your performance in the end. And if you fit in the team, that's what I already talked about, that not only hard skills, but also personal skills and fit in the team matters here a lot, because in companies, it's very important that you fit in the team as a new incomer, as a freshman. So it's something which I wanted to share also, that, it's not just something which I personally experience, but also recruiter job agencies, people which work there experience working with PhD and students and postdoc candidates which want to find a well-matched job in industry. The other thing which I'd like to bring, and that comes again, which was discussed a little bit, that's as a tip which I already talked about at ChatGTP, as a facilitating tool to create not only cover letters, motivation letters, but also, of course, very now heavily already used by industry in creating different types of marketing, in a way, presentations, but also even taglines, slogans, different formats of presentations of company activities. Myself, because I'm very creative and I want to explore my writing skills, also being PhD, I've been trained very well to do that. I want to actually to stay proactive and make sure that whatever I write, even I write article on LinkedIn about collaborations, right? Interdisciplinary collaborations. This is truly, fully 100% what was written by me. It was not written by ChatGTP. And I think recruiters more and more also this year at BCAV try to point out, and I would like to cite this actually, we see more and more candidates using ChatGTP for writing letters. Stay away from generic. I mean, ChatGTP is a great inspiration, but make sure we can recognize your personality in that letter. Your application is about you. So I think, guys, you need to be really careful. I think if you are not ready how to do that, it's better to have coach like me, which will help you to facilitate writing letter, but still this will become also your creative process, your writing, and your style. Important is that we all have, when you look at the different writers in academia, or even professors or your postdocs or your colleagues, we all have very different styles of writing styles. Some people have it very more imaginary, some people have more confronting, some people have more explorative, right? They ask a lot of questions, or some people have very confronting and debating. So it's there are very different or descriptive style, also very different styles. And of course you can practice these styles if you want to become professional scientific writer. But it's also important to sometimes realize what kind of writing styles I have and how can I apply it now to scientific marketing or scientific or industrial scientific writer jobs. So this is something which I like to also stress about. Your writing style also may play a big role in, in writing a great cover letter. And as also colleague from CLS Services Recruiting Agency in Netherlands noticed, it's about you. It's not about ChatGTP style. So I would, especially for PhD students and postdoc, which you guys, as much as me, were trained in writing, right? Writing different types of manuscripts, reports, data analysis, presentations. Please use this. Please implement it. This is something which you already have in your toolbox. So it's something which I can also, as a coach, help you with. If you don't think like I'm not really a good writer, I never enjoyed that, well, that's something which I can also take and help you here as a coach. But again, facilitating a rather fully bringing my own writing style while coaching. So this is something which I very much wanted to stress about. Again, ChatGTP comes back. and it's not appreciated by recruiters. The other thing which I wanted to come from highlights, because I also have to check to also divide the time how much I want to talk about BCF event, but also other important worldwide events and also things which are happening locally to give you also more tips. For those which were not at BCF event, I think this will be interesting part. For those which participated in this year BCF event, this can be maybe something which can be maybe redundant, but I think you were not, since there were 3 rooms, so 3 sessions in parallel at the same time slots. I think, I don't know if you were participating the same ones. I wanted to comment a little bit, some in short about some sessions. So the first lecture, I think, was very good, eye-opening lecture from Martine van Vogt. She is Chief Strategic Officer of GeneMap, life lessons on how to build a career and leave a legacy. And I think this was very inspirational because Martina talked about joining GeneMap as a PhD with immunology, but also being fascinated about antibodies and developing antibodies for treatment, which is the GeneMap mission for cancer patients. But importantly, what she also gave as a testimony, her setbacks, also how much she was struggling once she became C-level, I call it person, so manager, and was able, actually was actually herself very proactive and take a very important challenge in developing a company strategy. So in strategic development, by asking her actually previous professor, which actually was CEO of GeneMap, and this moment I think I remember as a very especially from also coach perspective, but also scientist perspective, very brave. She's very brave woman leader in life science industry, which took this, a risk and worked very hard to become, in the end, from scientist chief strategic officer, but also in telling about the setbacks, these important moments. Even a company like GeneMap and her position there, her path was, I think, successful because she took a lot of risks. Even the company was not especially in the moments where company was not doing well, she made decisions and she found also collaborative partners to bring this brighter future of GeneMap. But there were a lot of setbacks, and there she showed how much potential she has in developing strategy, in pushing company forward, and overcoming crisis. And that there were multiple moments, and you would imagine, you always think like when you apply to GeneMap, this is a successful company, they were growing gradually or in linear way or maybe accelerating way, but no, there were a lot of setbacks, and they had to reduce in terms of R&D research very much, I would say, a very high percentage. I think she mentioned like 2 main pipelines. From all the pipelines they had, that was drastic reduction in R&D pipelines or research lines, and they had to find also collaborative partners to develop this further successfully. So I think this was very brave testimony of a scientist which became chief strategic, I would say, but also scientific officer in terms of bringing the strategy also in R&D development. So that's something which I really liked a lot, and I enjoyed this presentation. about her personal testimony and personal also difficult experiences shared from company, because not everybody working especially in C-level position shares openly with such broad audience, which are PhD students, their personal negative experiences. It's a little bit like in academia sharing negative data, right? And showing how from negative now they've been appreciated and how we took a lesson and moved on. So that was very memorable, I think, testimony of Martine van Voort. Then I'd like to also bring this other session was in the other room about empower your career, a female perspective. As a female, also as a coach, empowering other women, PhD students and postdocs. I really like this session. There have been present very distinguished guests, and I'm very glad that Hyphen, who brought these fascinating speakers. One of them was Lisbeth Hoff. She's the Senior Director, Project Management Office, AMF Pharma. Mireille Sanders. She's Chief Operational Officer of Farming. And Cristina Martinez. She is Senior Director, Head of Manufacturing in CUT. So these three industry female leaders shared their career path from academia to industry. Some of them were starting from scratch. Some of them were starting, like Lisbeth, from actually working from in small biotech consultancy, the Swiss company. Christina is a person which I'd like to have definitely interview. She was the and I really appreciate that she was actually representing expats, right, which came to Netherlands and built their career as leaders and as industry leaders. With her Spanish, as I call, heritage. So I hope that there will be also interviews. So I will ask her more insightful questions because this was, there was moderator asking questions. So there was not so much time to also ask questions from the audience. And that was a little bit pity of it. But Mireille, having chemistry background and not also thinking from other perspective also, as a person which did not receive start PhD, but decided to quit. And of course, that's not some message to pursue that you should quit your PhD, but the message is that there are also potential careers, even you don't have PhD degree, for women which have master or bachelor, right? And then important, I think, from also moderator, I like to comment Alex Cloherty, which is working in BioLizard, but she's also participating. She's also PhD, but also participating in scientific communication and also participating as a moderator in BCF event. She's also coach, and I will also talk with her about scientific communication and potential jobs that also relates to potential options if you look for a writing position in industry. So I was really happy because she's going to get married soon, but she's still very nice and communicative. So we already are going to set up interview and potential questions. And after she comes back from Canada, because she's Canadian, we're going to have interview, and we're going to bring also a perspective of Alex as a scientific writer and how she grew in her career as a scientific writer slash coach. So that was, I think, important that Alex was participating, also being trained in scientific communication and receiving also importantly award. We're also going to talk about this award in interviews. I don't want to spoil too much. Also was a moderator. So if you know how to well communicate, you can become also very good moderator. And maybe, I always wonder if moderators, like in terms of conferences, could it be actually becoming potential jobs, right? When you have a moderator which is leading scientific discussion. And this can be industrial conference, but also this can be conference organized by academia and inviting academic partners. So maybe from this moderator, you can also create type of job as a scientific communicator. Then I'd like to talk a little bit about, since I will talk about Christina, and I like to bring her perspective a little bit here in the spotlight. She brought also important perspective of all you PhD postdocs, especially in terms of female leaders, which she promotes, to be authentic above all. But I think that also is a good, if you think in terms of finding well-matched job, being authentic also at interviews, which is sometimes very difficult, and you would rather like to try to fit to company in terms of receiving question why you think you are the best candidate, right, or good candidate for position. I think searching for authenticity here also during job interview is very important, and also writing letters which sound authentic, bringing also your core personal features. It's also part of this authenticity footprint. It's very important in terms of seeking opportunities for growth, so to develop your career also in industry. I really like that she here gave this inspiration to stay, even in terms of leadership, but here also in terms of PhD candidates and career growth, stay authentic, which is also a big part of me. I hope that during these sessions, also as a coach, but also as a scientist entrepreneur, I stay authentic, and that's who I am. And I also running, of course, this live sessions already for 18th time. So I hope that whatever I talk to is not only that I bring my authenticity in terms of my personality, but also that I bring this energy to go for it, because I'm a person which represent go-getter girl, and also expressing in terms of also all these PhD students and postdocs. Don't be afraid to express your ambitions. I would say that this is also an important part which I'd like to add. If somebody would ask me for an interview, what kind of coach I became in this transition between academia and industry. And that's something which I think this authenticity, unique skills may be the important factor in hiring you and not other person. So that's something which I wanted to talk about. There have been a lot of sessions. I will also put a PDF of the program, because I don't know if all of you were there and know how to find this program. There have been a lot of other companies related to Kite regarding manufacturing, but also Organon, Novo Nordisk. So a lot of companies which actually are playing a leading role in a regenerative medicine industry. I could not be at the academia versus industry session, so if you guys been there, of course, these are always very, I would say, confronting frame where representative of academia, this time it was Utrecht University, Amsterdam UMC, stand against people from companies. This time there was Philips, business development, and senior program director from Scenic Biotech. And I always enjoy these conversations because these conversations are meant to bring black and white, right? Between academia and industry, but more I'm sitting in industry ecosystem, more I see how much overlap is there between academia and industry, and how much, maybe because this overlap is also becoming bigger and bigger, because we see worldwide, but also in Netherlands, more academic industrial partnerships, which I'm also peculiar I think specifically in this particular type of collaborations. This is something which I'd like to, I think, summarize, I think, about BCF. The other thing which was for me pretty peculiar, and I like to talk about this, was a testimony from a PhD, which is Asian. And I think bringing this perspectives, I talked a lot about agile mindset, changing perspectives, implementing perspectives of others, learning from others' perspectives. Also, internationals can really bring you to maybe your best job ever. So applying agile mindset, not only to scientific collaborations, but also to finding a job, which I'm also applying in my coaching. So I liked her testimony, being Asian, graduating here, receiving PhD in Netherlands. I really like the description which she gave, looking back at her academic journey, which was quite long. She started education in Netherlands, and her PhD was not that so straightforward as you would imagine. Sometimes it's comparing to other European education systems or other education systems in European countries. My PhD, for example, was quite straightforward, from graduating, having master action biotechnology in Poland. I applied for PhD positions in Netherlands because that helped exchange Erasmus MC helped me to actually be 6 months in Netherlands, and experiencing what are the career possibilities also here. And my colleague actually said, well, it's really great to do PhD. Why don't you think about this? Because actually my decision was to come back to actually start to work in biotech in Poland. And I didn't think about doing PhD. But once I was here on exchange, I thought, well, this is definitely representing Netherlands represent very, very good country to develop further myself as a scientist. And I like the international vibe. So I decided to stay and perform PhD in stem cells. And so there was movement from master to PhD, right? Direct, basically transition. But for her, it was different because she started from VMBO, TL, so vocational level, which many view as a less rigorous academic track. It's regarded, that's how she's describing it, a pathway for those who might find HAVO. I talked a little bit already on our sessions about that, but it's in Holland. There is different education system. There's many intermediate education schools. So she decided to actually regard this pathway as applied sciences too demanding. I moved from VMBO to VVO, so pre-university level. It's pre-university level, so not yet university. I think it's visible or not. Yes, VVO. In my first 3 years in high school, then I barely made through it. And I really liked that she was really honest, scraping by with a grade of 5.5, aching to D in US, bare minimum to pass. And then, however, I achieved a 9 on my profile assignment in chemistry. And despite actually her grades, which I also like, it's not only about the grades, not only the best students who have the best career. Maybe sometimes, ironically, it's not the case. This still pushed her towards pursuing Bachelor of Sciences in Pharmaceutical Sciences, and then pursued a Master in Drug Innovation at Utrecht University. And there she graduated cum laude from my Master Science program, because sometimes it's about university or about the program. Building motivation with an average grade of 8.8, comparable to an A or 4 GPA in US grading system. And I think what she said, that why she maybe accelerated, because she discovered this genuine passion, molecular biology, cardiology research, with the goal to develop new treatments for cardiovascular diseases. So I think that was really important, even having at the beginning not really great grades, that she got master cum laude, and then she developed PhD. Actually, she started doing PhD in regenerative medicine, and her journey was way longer than mine. But it's important to also learn this lesson, that please don't always think about your grades, and if your grades are not good enough, you start to losing self-confidence, and there's a lot of self-doubt. Am I really good enough, right? Am I good enough? And this question is coming every time, I think, in our career path, or the developing career path. So there were lessons which she shared, and I really liked it. After describing her career as an academic journey, you don't get what you deserve, but what you negotiate. Sounds very already industrial, where you have a deal and you have to negotiate, right? But I like it. It brings this spirit of fighting for yourself, being there and making sure that you get, as I call many times, you get to the table, right, where you can negotiate. You don't stay in the shadow. So other people's opinions of you don't have to become your reality. Of course, everybody's perceiving us very subjective way. It's a subjective perception, and you should not always rely on what other people tell about yourself. That's why I talked about this unique skills, right? I, as a coach, help you to identify these core unique skills, which are aligned with your self-reflection and not with necessarily other peers' reflections. It's really important to realize that knowledge isn't a power. Applied knowledge is. I really like it, because that's what exactly we do in business. We make knowledge, or we transform knowledge in applicable solutions. You cannot win if you are afraid to fail. I think that's very important. That some people tell me, how many times I should try? Well, you should try till you succeed. And that's a simple athlete would say to you. If you are talking to especially athletes, they really have great motivation speech about that and experience. Stay curious. So be driven. That's what I also talked about, Jeff. Be driven by Jeff Karp, which please watch my previous session. Be driven, right, by curiosity. I think each scientist does that. Every day is a learning opportunity. And that's important to make sure that you learn something each day. Your surroundings play a pivotal role. Surround yourself with positive influences, so also positive coaches, I would say. Coaches which can help you to bring you to the next step, because it's always stepwise process to find your well-matched job. When faced with tough decisions, remember that each choice only adds to your experience. And also what I like to comment here, yes, make sure that when you make choice, don't ask hundreds of other people what they would do. It's in the end you who makes this decision, and you should be owner of your own decision-making process. So deep down, of course, you can ask for the advice, but please don't only rely on this advice. Please also rely on your gut, what your gut tells you, what your intuition tells you, and what your in the end core values tell you. And I think on the next session in July, which will be also a surprise session, hopefully, and I cannot wait for the next session. I will talk about this. I will talk about American writer, American coach, and talk about this alignment, especially when making decision, and maybe talk a bit about neuroscience regarding making decisions. So the other thing is, the education system often judges everyone by the same yardstick. I really like it. However, each of us possess unique talents, right? Skills. It's up to you to discover how to harness them to contribute to society. And I think that brings really beautiful this societal impact, or social societal impact, which I love the most. Also working as a coach to empower PhD students and postdocs, and also particularly also very often women. So that's something which I'd like to share for today. I think we have 7 minutes. If you have some questions regarding coaching, please, as I said, contact me directly. I think I had also some magazine which I'd like to comment about from local news, but I think I'm going to do that next time, because this local developments, especially from the newspaper, which I already many times presented at Leiden University, Mare, which also I presented previously. It's important to also see how what are the developments also regarding universities and potential career options, which are hopefully going to be more and more developed at universities, also for postdocs and PhD students, in order to empower them. So I think that's something which I'm going to bring on the next session. This matter is also available in English, but there are certain articles, things I like to discuss, which also show are we coming towards a brighter future or not. So I think that's something which I bring here, and I hope that you enjoyed this session. And if you have questions, please contact me. I'm very happy to answer all your questions. And stay positive and stay also communicative. So communicate, network, stay positive, and I wish you all the best in finding the well-matched job. For those who don't know how to do it, it's too difficult to do it yourself, please contact me. So I will be very happy to help you out. So warm greetings from Leiden Bioscience Park, and see you at the next session. I'm already very excited to do it in July. So take care and see you next time. Bye.